ReZero.
You can't do it?
I don't know why anyone finds it interesting. I don't. The main guy is boring. The two little creepy kids, I don't understand what the maid outfits. Then you've got this like
There's some problems.
This witch in a closet, and I was like, I'm like, fucking the Pegasus like dupe that runs the manor.
Roswell.
What is that show? Like, it's fucking bizarre. It's bizarre.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Gateway to Anime. How are you all? What's going on? We are the podcast where we try and bring you the best new anime as well as deep dive into the classics. Ever wanted to get into anime but didn't know where to start? We are also the podcast for you. I am your host, Sam, and Charlie, how are you going?
I'm good, excited to be here. It's a new year. It's our first recording of the new year. So happy new year to all of you beloved listeners and viewers. Hope you've had a wonderful holiday season. I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm being genuine.
That's Charlotte being serious.
I'm being deadly serious from the bottom of my heart. But yes, welcome back, everyone. I'm excited.
I've never heard you be more genuine in my life. That was unbelievable stuff.
Incredible stuff.
I'm incredibly moved. Okay.
And some of you might have recognized that voice, but today we have a very special returning guest, becoming one of our most returning guests, and we're hoping to do even more so this year.
Oh yeah.
We have our very good friend, Al Williams. Al, how are you today, my man?
I'm very good. Very happy to be back on the pod. I've been listening. I've been following. I've been taking recommendations. I feel like I am the guinea pig for this podcast. I'm kind of, I've watched a lot of what you guys have been recommending, and I'm here to give some notes.
Hey, here we are. Yes.
Just quickly as well. How are you guys going with Boruto? Last time I came on this podcast, we had a little argument about Boruto, and these two have to watch the whole thing. Now, how many episodes are we each in?
I'm going to start it today.
So you have not even started?
No, I haven't, but I'll get there.
Stunning stuff.
It's going to happen.
Stunning stuff.
New Year's resolution.
And Sam?
I have actually watched 10. I've gone back to the start.
Okay, good.
Have I watched them on double time speed? Yes.
This is...
But hey, look, I got to get through a lot of stuff, and I watch a lot of anime. I watch a lot of anime.
Sam's
for y'all.
He's got to watch Black Clover now too, because he made a comment.
I walked myself into that too.
Yeah.
I do this for all of y'all. Now, today, Al's going to take a little bit of a lead here, but as many of you know, this podcast started off very differently to what it is today. Of course, it was me and Charlie walking our anime newbie, I guess is the best way to describe him, friend Brett, who still comes on every now and then, through the world of anime, and using him as an avatar for the audience to try and bring a new audience into anime. Now, of course, the show has moved on and evolved very much now, as I mentioned our tagline at the top, bringing you the best new anime as well as deep diving into the classics. But we're going to take a little bit of a back step here, because also, even for those of you who are more seasoned anime fans, like we hope many of you who've been on this journey with us now are, or you've come to us as an anime fan, we love that. You probably have a lot of friends who you try and get into anime. Casuals, if you will, or those who are completely uninitiated. Now, we all know that little thing when you try and suggest something to someone and they look at you real weird. They're like, you're a creep. Like, no, look, anime's not just creepy shit. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of creepy shit, which is why this podcast exists as well. We try and steer people clear of that and also try and talk about some of the reasons why it might exist and why you should avoid it. So
yeah, because again, people kind of think that anime is like such a limited thing, but actually it's just a title for a huge genre full of everything. So like anything, there's going to be bad things in it. I mean, we are Gateway to Anime. That's the whole point of our title. Well, originally. Yes. So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to kind of revisit, because I feel like whenever we talk about gateway animes, we go like old school. I'm like, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Classic. So it's kind of I think it's be cool to listen to Alex and talk about how like what's kind of like a newer gen casual anime. I mean, like that's
yeah, absolutely. So Al, like firstly, we probably asked this before, but just quickly, what was your gateway into anime as a kid?
My gateway as a kid would have been Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. But the real one that got me into anime, as I see it, not just popular on Cheese TV, was Neon Genesis.
Right.
That was the thing that got me in, I was 14 when I watched it. So, good stuff, good timing. Yeah, and it was on Up Late on SBS,
yeah.
Which is a local channel here in Australia. And it just had that combination of, you know, these lighter kind of, you know, at-home moments and then this giant scale of world-ending, you know, devastation and depression. Let's face it. You know, that was the thing that got me in. Cowboy Bebop was the thing that kept me in.
Yep.
And then I sort of kept going from there. So as much as I wouldn't say I'm like an anime, you know, savant or, you know, I'm not obsessed with it, but I do kind of keep up. And this podcast has kind of helped me keep up with what to watch because I'm hit or miss. Sure. You know, first couple of episodes, if it gets me, I'm in and I'm like, I'm going to watch all of this very quickly and become quite obsessed with it. And if it kind of misses, then I'm not touching that for years until, you know, someone kind of presses me. So I watch anime a lot when I go back to Perth and hang out with one of my friends, and I take what I've learned from this pod and from watching, I take back and I show it to him, right? Because he's a casual kind of like me, he's maybe a little more casual. So I thought I'd bring in a bit of a list of the shows, more recent shows, last couple of years. Because recently I was like, look, I'm going to get into Gundam, right? I've always seen Gundam and been like, the cool models, cool idea. Like, it's kind of like Robotech, but it's kind of like Transformers. And I just kind of felt like there's this whole world that I know nothing about that is huge in anime.
Huge.
So I've been watching as an idea of like, can I get into this? As a newbie, can I get into this? So I've been watching off your recommendation, Gundam Wing. It's hard. It's, you know, it's 1994.
Yeah.
I'm probably 10 eps in over a couple of days. But it's slow. The voices don't match up with the dub doesn't match up. The characters are quite underdeveloped. You have no idea really what's happening. It's got that cool 90s thing where there's this giant political intrigue, but they don't really tell you what's going on. Modern animes are much, much better, much more succinct, much easier to access.
Yes.
So I thought I'd go through shows that got me straight away.
Yep.
And kept me. And then I've got a list of shows, which you guys might hate, that I fell out of.
Okay.
Okay.
That I started watching. I actually might start with the ones that I fell out of.
All right.
Right, so these are shows that I were recommended either on this show or just came out. I started them. I was like, yeah, this I may have given them 5-6 episodes.
Good fit.
May have kind of got into them and dropped out. Right. So here we go. Reaction. You can give this a tick or a cross.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Zom 100.
Didn't like it. Really?
3 eps and was like, I don't know.
Interesting.
Not for me.
Look, that's...
I felt like it was tired. I felt like I'd seen it so many times.
Yep.
It wasn't sort of original. The lead character didn't really do it for me. It's not one that I wouldn't say that I would... Like, I would probably go back to it, but there's nothing... I don't look at it on the screen and go, oh yeah, great.
Totally. I think, my thing is that I also dropped Zom 100, but I was invested longer than 3 episodes. It took a while for me to get to my, like, it's a bit repetitive kind of, and stuff does happen, so I understand why you dropped it after 3 episodes. So it's kind of just like, is it not for your style? It's not your thing. That's fine. I don't know. I wasn't, like, as taken. I know you loved Zom 100. I wasn't as taken with it, so.
Well, funny you say that because also it was riddled with production issues and it stopped itself after, like, 6 or 8 episodes because the production fell apart, as we know. Talk about this a lot on the show. Anime production is a very difficult, sometimes hellish production experience for those working in it. And this is one of those examples, and it happens quite a few times. There's another Wonder Egg Priority this happened to as well. It happens to a bunch of them, actually.
That had me up until the end. That did.
That show. Talking about shows that fell apart.
But then the last episode, I was like...
Well, because they came... Oh, no. That's a good example of, like, maybe you shouldn't have finished it. Because,
stuck the landing.
It stopped because of production issues and then came back and we're like, here's the final episode. And we're like, why did you ruin everything?
Sometimes the premise is enough.
Sometimes,
sometimes you're like, this is good.
Unfinished symphony, you know? Like,
exactly.
The one that we could have, you know, but we didn't get
it.
But to go back on Zom 100, yes, riddled with production issues. So I dropped it simply because it stopped. Then it did come back, half a season later, and I never picked it back up. So I guess something to say that I was really into it at the start. I loved the animation style.
I loved the pilot. Loved the pilot.
Zombieland, very vibes of,
It was fun. I found it fun.
It was fun, but I must say, even for me, even before it fell apart from a production standpoint, I also was starting to be like,
might need a bit more from this.
Yeah. So I wasn't sad to see it. Wasn't that sad to see it go. So not a bad. I'm going to give that a tick.
I'm giving that a tick as well.
Fair enough. Yeah. Cool.
There's a few here, right? So we'll move through these, but the next one, which you're going to hate, but I have given this 12, 13, 14 episodes.
Good.
ReZero.
You can't do it?
I don't know why anyone finds it interesting. I don't like. The main guy is boring. The two little creepy kids. I don't understand what the is going on with
Rem and
them.
Ram.
The Pegasus. The Pegasus like dupe as that runs the manor.
Roswell.
It just fucking, what is that show? Like, it's fucking bizarre. It's bizarre.
It is
nothing
bizarre.
seems to be happening.
Interesting.
Like, he's supposed to die and come back. He hasn't died for 8 eps.
He's about to.
Yeah, right.
A lot.
And boy, does that really...
Boy, does that hurt
okay.
you, yeah.
So
Okay.
ReZero is an annoying
I'm
one.
bored.
I know, and that's
Okay.
fair enough.
No, it's fair.
ReZero, because it's like a... I know you're going to roll your eyes so hard, but like... Because it's a deconstruction
Oh,
of a genre.
fuck off.
No, I know. I know. But it has like... I mean, there's a lot of things about it that are kind of... yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't be into it. I actually think that Subaru is like... kind of shit and boring, and that's sort of the point, right?
That's correct.
Again, though, it's kind of hard to be like, you love this show if you know the deep lore of a genre, you know, kind of, which is kind of annoying. And so as like a gateway or a casual watch, maybe it's not the best.
Yeah, as a gateway, it's not a good one.
It's like a self-insert critique on like that kind of idea of being like I think ReZero does a really great sense of like impending dread.
Yes.
And when you get to like actually it's maybe just like the idea of like the resetability and being able to die continuously, I think it explores. It's actually I found it a hard watch, not because I wasn't enjoying it, because I found it deeply horrifying and disturbing
Very
by
disturbing.
the end. I get what you're saying, but I actually like, I love Roswell.
What is it?
Just the amount of
It's so
just the amount of love for it around. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to love this show, right? And so
Yeah.
maybe I had high expectations, but as soon as you have like, little girls with like
Maids.
pink and blue, the maid outfits, then you've got this like
There's some problems. There's
this
some problems.
witch in a closet, and I was like, I'm like, fucking, I just don't get where it's got. Like the first ep, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a great twist, yeah.
It was good.
When you
It
find
was
out about the ability,
really, really fun, and then just nah. And I begrudgingly play it.
Yeah.
But we move.
Well,
We
it's
move.
fun
I
as well.
think if you
'cause,
haven't got into it now, you're not going to get
probably
into
not
it.
gonna get
And
into
that's
it.
completely fair.
I
You
get
don't
it.
have to love ReZero.
No, but I guess it's funny as well because
But wah.
yeah, it's next for me. But
big crosses.
I remember from Brett, who we mentioned before, when we did our Isekai episode way back in the day, I got him to watch ReZero, and he was like, "This is my favorite of all the things you've given me,"
Interesting.
which is interesting. But again, it's like
What a loser.
Well, it's interesting because, like, as you mentioned before, like, what I love about it is that, like, it is, I know it sounds like we're rolling our eyes, it is a deconstruction of a very, very tired genre, but as a result of deconstructing the genre, it also plays out the stereotypical genre. And some of it is, like, pretty cringy and pretty, like, there's some ick. There's a big ick factor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For ReZero, no question. I have to put my blinkers on quite a bit with ReZero, 100%. And there are some times that I watch it and I'm like, some of the humor they play, and some of the humor I'm like, that's creepy, weird, like, not cool. Mushoku Tensei-esque weird, like it doesn't go there, but like it skirts the edges sometimes, and like the cutesy sort of,
Yeah.
I hate that stuff.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
Personally,
it's really
yeah,
not,
and I
not a
get that
fan either.
But like what I love is like how it really is a meditation on trauma, and really is about a cycle of trying to forgive yourself and trying to find self-love through a deep sea of self-hatred, which is what Subaru has. And I think that's really interesting. And the way that they do it really subverts your expectation, because you're seeing this really capital A anime aesthetic with all this really like over the top kind of, maids running around and like a witch in a closet. Great way to describe Beatrice.
Witch in a closet.
Witch in a closet.
It's true. It is.
It's true. It's a
I
parallel
guess
universe.
my point is like that what you've talked about there, and dealing with trauma. I'm like, Vinland Saga does exactly that.
That's
in a
fair.
beautiful kind
That's
of different setting, and I go, that's a show I love, and this is a show that I just can't access.
Honestly, and if I was to given a gateway option to give to someone, I'd give them Vinland Saga every day of the week, of course. But anyway, X's from Charlie and me.
One tick, one X.
Yep.
Next was Tower of God.
Yeah.
Started it, thought it was going to be interesting, and then it got to usually the best arc, which is kind of everyone's going to university and
course.
and stuff, the training arc.
we're doing
and I was
tournaments.
just like, bored.
Wait, we got a tick on X Tower of God is definitely a tick from me.
Tick for me was a disaster.
Didn't like
season,
it.
Yeah, it's
Good,
terrible.
didn't get to the
Second season was a
Um,
disaster.
It's a really amazing. Oh, I've talked about this extensively on the podcast. It's an adaptation of a South Korean manhwa, right? Which is a like webtoon that actually is designed to be scrolled on your phone. So they're like vertical storytelling. They're quite different from manga chapters, I find. They keep on trying to adapt them for anime, and they have like no one's quite got it right yet. And I think there's going to be like one that does. Even Solo Leveling didn't
Solo
quite get it
Leveling's
right.
close.
Shorter or are they longer?
The chapters are like maybe slightly, because they're like weekly, just like one chapter, they're slightly shorter chapters.
It's not like the 3-panel Garfield though.
Calvin and Hobbes.
But I think the thing about Tower of God, which is so disappointing for everyone because that was like the one, it has like, it's been going on for so many years and the story is great and the character and the world build is so awesome. It's just that the anime didn't like, they just didn't know how to pace
get
it.
it.
It was a pacing problem.
Okay. Yeah.
And
That
season
makes sense.
2, it was even worse,
Well,
actually.
also they changed studios, and the studio, like the animation was dreadful in season 2.
Yeah.
The fight choreography and the like animation, the art direction was abysmal.
Yeah.
Whereas the first season they
First
tried
season,
to do an aesthetic.
I like the aesthetic in the
I
first
liked it.
season. And I think
I liked
like,
it.
I'm always like, yeah, Mumwa, like let's adapt more. But like, Tower of God was a big disappointment for a lot of people.
Lot
so
of people.
I give you a tick for that
Tick
one.
for that.
Yeah, next was Fruits
Alright,
Basket.
I'm stepping out of
and
this
I you know, it's not a genre thing. It's not a genre thing.
love that genre.
I love this genre. I just really, again, found it tough to... I was going to say tough to penetrate. It is. It's just one of those ones where I'm just a bit... Like, I'm meeting all these kind of millennial soft boys and I don't care. I don't care. She's a bit of a wet blanket. I know that it's really popular and I want to get into it, but I've given it a few goes now and I'm just struggling to get through it.
Are you going to roll your eyes at me again? This is a big cross for me. Anyone who's listening to this podcast knows that Fruits Basket is one of my favorite shows ever. Look, I will say every time I recommend this to people, it is so hard to get people into it because it really does come across as surface level, like, again, who are all these people? I don't really
kinda
care.
does,
This
yeah.
woman is like so perfect and like, oh,
Too
blah,
nice.
blah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's okay. If you want to talk about subverting a genre, if you want to talk about something that is like so deeply like shocking and moving, and one of those shows that really sneaks up on you. Like strangely enough, we had a guest on when we talked about Fruits Basket who loves
Gerald?
it. And he described it as like almost like a David Lynch style show.
Cosmic
where
horror.
there's this like kind of like undertone that's so unsettling. But then by the end you're just like, and you realize that like Toru Honda, the protagonist, like her way of dealing with things is not good. And it's actually like her, like, it's all kind of, everyone is dealing, it's all about different kind of allegories for how you deal with grief. That's what the whole show is. Trauma and grief. And it's like so convoluted and ridiculous. But that being said, like it's a hard one because there's so many relationships and it presents so differently at the start. And then before you know it, you're like, why am I sobbing hysterically? Like, I'm so stressed right now. Like, oh my gosh, like what is going to happen? But I will say it is one of those ones that I find really hard to recommend to people for that reason. And I'm just like, it's so funny because we don't have time. There's too much things to watch. So to be like, guys, you're just going to give it a whole season. And then the second season is where it really kicks off. And I find this with Steins Gate as well.
Big time.
When I
Big
tell
time.
people it's like my favorite shows ever, I go, is that on your list?
No, I'm writing it down.
I find this with Steins Gate, it takes like 12 episodes before
least.
you suddenly realize what the show's actually about.
Yeah.
And then it's an amazing rewatch and it's like one of those things you go, oh my God. And like it, yeah. And like I could be totally off the mark with Fruits Basket and I could have nostalgia attachments to it. But I think there's like a large group of people who are like, who feel the same way about it that I do. So I know I'm not
Dozens?
alone. There are a lot. I mean, it was like, it's
No,
like,
it's huge. It's huge.
It's huge.
It's
And
huge.
it was like
It's
top of
massive.
mouth for ages. Like
Yeah,
it is
no,
a.
it's huge. Gerald loved it.
It is amazing, but I agree. I mean, as much as that hurts my soul, because I thought you would be a prime audience for Fruits Basket, because
Same.
mostly genre is what turns people off it. But I'm like, oh, if you could just, ooh, yeah.
Keep going. All right. Well,
I dare
I'll put a
you.
little plus on that, so I might keep going.
But it sounds like you've given it a pretty good go,
I've
which
given it
is
a
like
couple of
fair.
goes.
It's a really hard one to like.
I won't tick or cross. I'm just going to do like a
Line across?
because I did the whole first season when we were doing preparation for our episode with Gerald. The two best animes you've probably never seen. I of course talked about Legend of the Galactic Heroes, obviously, and Charlie talked about Fruits Basket. Gerald watched them both and loved them both. But I also in preparation watched the whole first season of Fruits Basket, and like there were elements of it I really liked, and like I could see like the start of something really really intriguing, but like I didn't keep going.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you keep going?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so there's,
so I guess I don't know. I need to try and push through, but like you, I struggle because I'm like, I know this is supposed to be good, and like people
and I'm waiting for the payoff.
and people who I respect have really high opinion of it, and I was just like, well, I'm trying to find my way in,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I just never could. So I get you, I feel that.
Okay, a couple of. Well, I'm going to give that a tick from you because you didn't watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a tick.
Seventh Time Loop.
Oh,
These are ones that I've
Yeah.
heard of from this show
Yeah.
and went and got onto.
this is a Charlie one.
I got a fair way through this. I got a fair way through it, and then I stopped. I don't,
Yeah, that's a cross for me. I love that show. And that was a
I was
recommendation.
enjoying it. I just dropped off.
Again, another memoir time loop situation where someone like keeps on like dying and being like, it's like the it's similar
I'll tell
to
you what,
ReZero, I
it's
guess.
better than ReZero.
No.
It's a better reincarnation
Oh, no,
time
the
The
loop.
character is way cooler.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually love the protagonist, and it's a very short series. Like it's not. I feel like I
fine.
can see why you kind of fell off it.
I reckon
though,
I'm probably
because
2 episodes from finishing it. I
Yeah.
just didn't finish it. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon you give that one another
Yeah,
push.
I'll keep going.
Yeah,
Easy
to
one
me-
to pick up, I reckon, as well.
Yeah, you decide where is she at? How many loops?
Similar vibe. Wrong way to use healing magic.
Oh, no,
yeah.
tick. I also dropped that.
Yeah, I dropped that. I liked the idea
So
at
did
the
I.
start, and then just lost me. Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone. Yeah. Look, I mean, I've said this so many times on the show. Like, I suggest it every time because I'm like, I have a good time. But like, do I love it? No.
Yeah, right.
It's fine. Like, it's just gonna go. I'm so far in now that I'm like, what kooky science experiments are they up to now? And what dumb shit is Senku doing? Like,
totally.
Who knows? Like, but like, no, tick.
Well, this is my list of things that I'm like, I won't recommend to my friend.
Yeah,
right.
no.
I'll just put them.
no.
I'll go like, I'll watch them, but
Your life
Yeah.
will not be any poorer for not watching Dr. Stone.
Rising Impact, which I started, which is a golf anime.
Oh yeah.
And is actually kind of fun, but it's stupid, you
Yeah,
know.
of course.
It's akin to playing Mario Kart. It's you're not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia.
Wow. Couldn't do My Hero.
Just
That's so interesting.
Wow. Interesting.
Knowing your taste in anime, I'm kind of like,
I'm surprised by that one.
yeah, just because a lot of people don't like My Hero.
Oh yeah.
But I find it, we always find ourselves defending My Hero Academia on this podcast,
know, we
even though
don't
we're not staunch
necessarily
fans.
love
Like, I'm
it,
not
yeah.
like a, but
After season 3, it fell off. You know.
but then it kind of comes back a bit.
It's come back now.
It's always held my attention, and I kind of like appreciate the world building. It kind of is ridiculous. I mean, is it because you don't like Deku? Is that why you couldn't get
I
into it?
don't really like Deku.
He's not
Yeah,
a great
that's a lot. A
protagonist,
lot of people don't like Deku.
Yeah, I like a lot. I like the world. I like what they've done with with a lot of the characters, and I like that kind of stuff. To be
surprised.
honest, it just didn't. Yeah, I reckon I got through a good season, and then just went, I don't know. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Look,
Get
I think
this
that's
going.
probably fair.
It's
Like,
across from me. I love that.
yeah,
show.
like I'll defend My Hero because it does the thing that I like. Which it's one of the modern shonens that does the thing that we love shonens.
Yeah, that's
doing.
true.
You know what I mean? Like, which apparently Black Clover does too. So I'll watch that, guys. Don't worry and report back.
This is a big one that I'm so surprised that I just couldn't bring myself to keep watching, and it's Pluto.
You didn't like Pluto?
I found it really difficult to keep watching. Maybe because it was good,
Yeah.
potentially, and I just wasn't in the mood for it.
fair.
It's like sometimes anime is that thing where I'm like, I don't
today.
want this to be. I don't want this to be difficult.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be hard. I don't want to think about impending doom all the time. I do often, of
course.
but just never lined up with Pluto. So yeah, that was just one that I just kind of dropped off.
Look, I didn't like Pluto as much as I thought I would, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really good show. But when I compare it to Monster, another one of Urasawa's works, it's not even close for me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think Pluto's better, and like I think there were some slight criticisms of the adaptation, but like I thought it was a pretty good adaptation and I've read most of Pluto. Look, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good, but like I just don't think it's my favorite of Urasawa's works. I really hope someone does 20th Century Boys because that's meant to be the one. So, but yeah, no, I get it. I think, but I really enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Pluto
gonna be,
is
put it
really
that way.
good, but I think that like if you're not in the, I know what you mean. It's like if I want to watch like a like small kid finding his power and being like a ninja and like that's
Yeah,
great.
totally. I'll watch
Just wanna be
Boruto, like you guys are about.
Yeah, exactly. But like just kind of being like, oh no, like
Yeah.
this guy.
That's kind of what it did feel like.
It's like it's hard. You kind of like punishing you.
no.
Yeah, you really need to be in the right or the wrong headspace to watch that one. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So those were my sort of things I fell out of. Now, the more interesting, fun bit. Now, a lot of these shows would have been mentioned a fair bit, I'd imagine, on this show. But I was trying to think of what makes things easy to get people into. What makes a good anime? A short first season,
Yep, does
I
help.
think, really helps.
Yep.
And it being greenlit for further seasons
Does
also really helps. So.
That does help.
Does.
Nothing worse than when you see a trailer and it's like, smells like one season, and like you're like, wow, that looks great. I bet it's never gonna get a second
It's
season.
never coming back. So these are ones that I have suggested to my friend and he's watched. Well, he hasn't watched this first one, but I'm suggesting it. Blue Box.
Hey.
Now, have you guys watched Blue Box?
I've watched half of the first season. I'm watching it now. It's fucking great.
It's really good.
Great.
It's a really good slice of life.
Yep.
It's not creepy
No.
at all,
No.
which is a really nice kind of feeling. A Sign of Affection is another one that is, again, not creepy. Thank God they're in college, at least in A Sign of Affection, not in Blue Box. But it's just
wholesome. It's not like
wholesome.
yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's paced really beautifully. It almost takes you back to being in high school. There's a little more nerves and a little more, there's still those typical, setups and hijinks of the girl that he likes ends up living with him and blah, blah, blah. But there's something kind of respectful and there's boundaries there. And I think it's good. It's just good kind of soap.
Yeah, and a bit of sport too.
Yeah, and it's about sport, which kind of about sport.
If I was going to write a show and directly target you, it would probably be Blue Box.
Yeah.
Not surprised. Like,
Sport is a background, romance is
Wholesome.
yeah, it's right in the hitting zone. Next, obviously, I got my friend into this, and I think it's probably one of the best modern animes ever. Vinland Saga,
Yes.
which we
Yes.
talked about.
No question.
Just like, and I could see how you wouldn't like that first season, and how it would be. It's a completely different show.
Very different. How much it changes between the first and second season.
And even just style, like anime style and the whole thing. But very easy to get people into that.
Yeah. Well, it's not
You
very...
know, it's just
like,
Vikings.
It's
Like
anime
it's
that does
Vikings,
yeah.
but then, it's much deeper.
Much deeper. Much. Vikings shit show. Sorry.
Yeah,
everyone. It's average.
Vinland Saga has shot to the top of my recommendation
Yeah.
to people who want
I
to
reckon
get
that
into
might
anime.
be
It's right.
maybe
It's-
the one. Dandadan, obviously,
Yep.
it's a phenomenon at the moment. Caveat.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Caveat.
would you
Caveat.
recommend
Caveat.
this to
Yes.
like anime newbie? Because I think that's going to get you some looks, some sights, some on
The first
like,
episode is
get
going
you
to
some
get you
like.
some side eye.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it.
Like-
For a first up, probably not.
Yes.
But for someone who's seen anime before,
Yes.
it's just an unbelievably fun show.
It is.
So
I mean, we're all fans of it here.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard someone describe it recently. In fact, I think it was Brandon, who is on your co-host
Yes,
for our podcast.
yeah.
It's kind of reminiscent of when like Rick and Morty was good, like that kind of. And I went,
That's a good
okay,
good
yeah, because it's that
description.
kind of like Rick and Morty does so many like sexualized, gross jokes about,
Yeah.
but it's like in a way that I was like, oh, okay, like I actually see that as
Yeah,
like maybe
smart.
a description for somebody who like will
New
be
to it.
warned about what kind of like obviously I
edgy.
preferred Dan to Rick and Morty, of course,
Yes,
but like and they're different, but there's that kind of like I think in that humor style maybe.
I think as well, context is key, right? So like being anime fans or knowing the genre, you expect a little bit of it, but I thought the way they did it wasn't horrific. It
No.
wasn't, it didn't feel as bad. It's not good. Don't get me
No,
wrong.
no.
I think that
Some
the
borderline
right to
stuff.
me the reason that I haven't like been like dropping it gross is because I think it's like the writing of the characters and everything
Characters
and
are
like
incredible.
and is actually just like very very fucking good and kind of is a bit of paid off eventually like kind of stuff it does kind of I don't know I think what it's actually saying overall is not problematic. It's like
Agreed.
I don't know.
Yep.
No, I agree.
Ranma half.
Hey, Charlie's vindication.
Just loving this show. Just loving it. And I actually went back to Perth and watched it with my friend recently. And, we had a couple of beers and we were just watching it. And it's hilarious. It's like classic hijinks. It feels like it's from another time, which it is.
Which it
Yeah,
is.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something kind of, again, like, there are moments where you're like, oh, God, yeah, it's sexual hijinks between high schoolers. But there's nothing kind of like, there's nothing seedy about it.
Nothing icky.
There's nothing icky. It's very funny. It sort of gets a little repetitive towards the end there, where they're sort of having all these new ways to have these fights. But a really enjoyable show, really great art style.
It's so fun. Yeah, I mean, Mappa's adaptation for the new one is just so done with so much care. You can see how much they love that source material and how they really have lent into that 1980s style, but with new animation techniques.
Yeah.
So it's so smooth. It looks great. One thing I say about Ranma Half is so funny because usually I'd be like, oh, I hate it when they're just slapstick beating each other up kind of thing. But because they're all martial artists,
It doesn't matter.
It is
Yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. Like I was actually dying at that ice skating.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
it's so
I was
good.
like, this is so stupid. Like it's so ridiculous and over the top, but then it's got heart to it. And yeah, it is kind of a bit body swap,
Yeah.
kind of, but I think it's good. Yeah, I love it.
And it's a fun will they, won't they.
So I guess Fruits basket crashed so Ranma half could fly, hey?
Yeah.
They're not even close. They couldn't be further apart in
Well,
time.
we're out here. Yeah.
So this is like a bit of old school meets new school. This anime kind of reminded me of getting into anime and the style that I really liked. Obviously, it's new style animation. But Megalo Box was just one of the best animes. It's in my top 10 of all time.
Criminally underrated. Criminally.
Does that
One
include
of the
season two?
hardest, one of the hardest ones to get people to watch.
It's so hard.
I recommend it to people all the time.
Yep.
No one ever watches it, but it is brilliant.
Even in the anime community, it's not talked about very much. Like, it's a weird one because I just think it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I agree. It's beautiful. The second season is outstanding. Again, a little bit like Vinland Saga in respect to like the first season's like, it's about boxing and he's boxing and we're in a competition.
Yeah,
and then the second
yeah.
season's like a really slow,
Yeah.
meditative, like existential exploration of failure and not reaching your goals, but then trying to find happiness with what you have and what you have achieved was enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking
But
beautiful.
I loved that first season.
They're both
as
great.
But
They're
the
both
second
fantastic.
season is stunning. And it's a big left turn. But
Yes.
I just feel like animation style, that kind of neon
It's so
80s
cool.
kind of vibe.
90s vibe,
It's sick.
It's so good.
It kind of reminds me of like Bubblegum Crisis in a way as
Yes.
well. And I don't know.
Even
it's like-
Bebop in a way.
Yeah,
like,
well, Bebop is
Yeah.
definitely
It's
where
a big
what
one,
they're
yeah.
going for.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a lot of people might have just been thrown by the whole concept of it, which is that it's like a reimagining of Ashido no Joe, which
Yes.
is like a classic anime boxing, but like set in the future, like
Yes.
with robot arms. So I think
Yeah.
people were probably just like,
what is this?
what is that kind of vibe? But it's so good. Remember we watched season 1. I don't know if this anime we were doing the podcast. I think it was just before.
This is like 2018. It's
Yeah,
also a bit
yeah.
old, like comparatively to
Is
before
it?
the anime
Yeah.
boom. You know,
God,
it
I,
really
so
was.
I reckon
good.
I watched it in 2021.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
think Nomad came out 2021.
I think
second
there's
season.
second season came out then. Yeah, it's fucking good though, and yeah, people don't talk about. I think it's been a bit forgotten.
I think it has been like those who watch it love it, and like it is, I think, critically quite revered. But like, it's not a big IP at all.
At
And
all.
It's not talked about much at all in any of the sort of communities that I hang out in, but like, Reddit.
Hey guys, I'm
Hey
here
guys.
again.
Hey guys.
My community.
Let's talk.
But that is one of the ones that I would say if you're watching this, you want to get into anime, like, and you kind of want more of a serious, entry point. You don't necessarily want,
Big robots and flying.
Yeah, exactly, all that stuff. This kind of feels. I mean, there was that movie that Hugh Jackman did called.
Robots and
I don't think it's anything like that.
No, that's silly.
It's the same kind of concept of the arms or whatever, but I don't. I think this is one of the best anime, and I would jump on it.
I just think that Hugh Jackman film does damage to recommending this anime.
Yes.
People go, is that like that
No.
one with Hugh Jackman?
It's not like that at all.
Which apparently is an okay movie. I need to watch it. But yeah, I'm just like, I think that, every time I've recommended, people have literally
fine.
brought that up as a reference.
It's also a really good one to recommend to people who like perceive anime as just being for kids. You know what I mean? It's one of
Yeah.
those things you can be like, hey,
Yeah.
this can tell adult, very serious stories about character. And you can show that to people and they'll be like, oh.
I think that's why I really
wow.
enjoyed it as well, because it did feel like Bebop, which did feel like it was for adults.
Yes.
It's got an awesome soundtrack.
Oh my
Great
god, the
soundtrack.
Yeah,
soundtrack.
and it looks cool. I think it's a good one to recommend because you're just like, it looks cool as well.
cool.
You
A lot
know,
of
yeah.
great opening
Great OP, yeah.
song as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna
it's
rewatch it.
A lot of it's on my gym playlist.
Yes.
So if you're like a bit more of, if you're into your sports anime or you're into your sports, if you're a sports fan, great one to start on.
Yeah.
Great one to start
Like
on.
Still Not Dead at the end when it comes up on
Still Not
Is
Dead.
it Still Not Dead?
Still Not Dead. No, Not Dead Yet.
Not Dead Yet. Yeah,
Not
like,
Dead Yet.
sorry. It's cool.
it's
I'm going to
good.
rewatch that.
We're rewatching this. Tune in to our Patreon where we're going to live watch.
Boruto's never getting
Boruto's
watched.
outta here.
The next one, which I suggested to my friend who is a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and this is just, I mean, you guys have talked about this probably at nauseum, but Frieren is just like, if maybe the number one gateway
Tick.
anime out there.
Yeah. Oh,
Beautiful, the animation stunning, the soundtrack stunning, the character development stunning. I like, honestly, might be the perfect gateway anime.
It's also one of those things I think. I mean, everyone was losing their shit over Frieren, right? And it sort of took a little bit of time for for everyone in the anime sort of fandom to really realize. But I still, at the moment, don't think we quite appreciate just how special that adaptation was and is. It's happening this year, the second season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those things that like we were witnessing greatness in real time, like we did with Attack on Titan, and so it's really extraordinary. And I just think I mean, we all know, any anime fan knows Frieren's fucking incredible. But yeah, great suggestion for people who want to get in because you're like, hey, again, you like fantasy?
If you like fantasy,
You like Lord of the Rings, don't you?
Yeah.
And now, what if it was a little bit more of an existential, meditative experience? Like, yeah.
I managed to get my friend who is a Lord of the Rings nut. You know, we get home after a night out and he's like, he puts on Twin Towers.
Yep.
You know, like
Classic.
it's, you know, we fall asleep there. He managed to get, not only, I managed to get him to watch it all, but he also got his girlfriend to then watch it all, who does not watch anime at all. So it's one of those, it's just such a perfect start. Next up, we have Kaiju number 8,
Yes.
which I'm sure you guys have talked about. Now, what I like about Kaiju as a gateway is it sort of combines a few of my, you know, favorite animes from back in the 90s.
Absolutely.
Uses all the same kind of ideas, concepts, ways to get in, and just kind of simplifies the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And makes it, you know, easier to watch.
Yep.
And it's quite simple. So, you know, it's got a lot of Neon Genesis in it.
Big time.
Obviously, yeah, it's just one of those animes where you go like, it's an easy watch. The dub is really good.
Yeah, right.
The dub is really good. It's worth putting on because it's fun.
100%.
Next is anime's house, Apothecary Diaries. Another one where I think a little bit harder to get someone into. With my friend, I found that it took a couple of episodes to get him into, you know, loving Mau Mau as much as the rest of us. But once he was in, he was, you know, flew towards the end there. So such a great kind of, you know, mystery of the week.
Yeah.
Which and just so well executed. Again, great dub.
And the setting of Apothecary Diaries, like the court, the, you know, verdigris house, the inner court, the rear court, like all of that kind of court intrigue, historical fiction. It's obviously based on it's not actually set in China, but it's based on basically like very obviously based on Imperial China. It's truly like quite a amazing world they throw you into, and just the characters are fantastic. I think the thing that people would struggle with Apothecary Diaries, I think it's funny. I love the humor in Apothecary Diaries. I think it's actually hilarious. But I think some people might, if they're looking for like court intrigue, they might find it a bit like jarring at first. But then I don't know. I think most people would be in. It's actually quite funny. I love it.
No, I think it's really well done.
I often describe this like, it's also to newbies and to people I'm just trying to like get into anime and stuff. I'm like, the first 2 or 3 episodes are often difficult, especially if you're brand new to anime. It's a little bit like going to see a Shakespeare. The first like scene or two, you're like,
you're adjusting to the
what
language.
are they saying? And then all of a sudden it clicks, and like you tune into the language and you go, oh, okay, no, I get it. It is, I understand this now. It's just because obviously it's coming from a completely different culture, and often if you're watching the sub, it's in a different language. It's just in a very different style, and it does take you a little bit of time to click into it.
I would say the comedy's the thing that usually doesn't land for a lot of people.
Very
and I
jarring.
think in this particularly, the comedy is very, very good and dry.
It's good. And I think one thing is harder, not with Apothecary Diaries actually, but like a lot of things with anime, you do need to kind of have like a higher threshold for exposition.
Yes.
Particularly at the start of a series. Like,
Yes.
because they have to, obviously, if it's based on a manga or something like that, there's so much information you need to have. So sometimes you're kind of like, you find people just go like, I hate it when I'm just told all this shit. You're like, I promise it feels like,
Yes. In the beginning, there were 3 monkeys.
Yeah. Apothecary Diaries, we've described it before as like House MD set in Imperial China.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
That's
exactly,
her. She's basically
that.
House.
And it's great.
It's so good.
Up next, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, of
yeah.
course.
Absolutely.
The classic show.
Just if, you know, it's just fun. It's fun. It's brutal. It's just, anyway, not much needs to be said about that because I'm sure most people would have already watched it. If you haven't, jump on it. After that was Solo Leveling.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
It's, again, just a simple, you know, I was excited that season 2 has started to drop because I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this.
Have you watched the second season?
Well, only 1 episode.
It's great.
Yeah, I have. And I'm, you know, and I was waiting for a second.
Yeah.
You know? So
fun.
It's not going to challenge you much. It's the same thing over and over again, but it's kind of enjoyable. The next one, which I watched last year for the first time, was Haikyuu.
Yeah.
And
we knew that one was going to get
I did not know what I was missing with Haikyuu. And I loved that show.
I remember when you said you hadn't seen it, and I went,
A group chat.
"What?"
Yeah.
I went, "What?"
Stunning. Stunning.
Such a you
Gerald
show.
and I as well were like, I'm sorry, Alex, what?
Like, you're
this
the
is
actual
made for
target
you,
audience
dude.
for that.
Like,
yeah. If you're like a sports guy or girl, or if you're into that kind of stuff, they actually, anime does it particularly well.
Yeah.
They do. I think there's something about in Japanese culture that kind of quest for perfection.
Yes.
That they know they can't reach in sport. Like anyone
No
can
one
reach
can,
in
yeah.
sport. It's impossible.
Yes.
But that kind of teamwork element, it's brilliant.
Never cared more about anything in my life than like the Karasuno Crows winning. You know, and I'm not a sport person at all, but I'm like, they get you.
It's one of those things where, like, what's fascinating about it and why sport anime works so differently to anything the West makes to do with sport is, like, for example, the best example of a TV show in the West for sport is obviously Friday Night Lights, right?
A TV show.
TV show. Yeah, I mean, you got like
Probably.
you got lots of them in Major League.
Yeah,
You got Mighty Ducks and all those sorts of things, but like they're a little bit different with the movies.
I'd say Friday Night Lights is the most similar to.
Yeah,
Definitely.
But the thing about Friday Night Lights, it's not about the sport at all. It's about all the lives of the people behind the sport and what they're doing in their real lives, right? Haikyuu and many of these sports animes, it is just about the sports and what the sport means to them and how they grow as people through participating and playing sport. And it's so different.
Yeah.
We're not used to that in the West. It's very different.
It's an interesting thing. So I've been watching Negative Positive Angler recently.
Oh, yes,
which
yes,
is
yes.
a fishing anime. And it's exactly that, right? Like it's progression through whatever it is that their hobby. And it's the same with Rising Impact. It's, a golf anime, but what's it really about?
What does it mean to them?
But they do, oddly enough, like in Friday Night Lights, the frustrating thing is always, and in all sports shows in the West, the sport bit is very hard to watch.
It's very hard
because
to
if you're an NBA fan, you go, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch basketball, and you see a bunch of not NBA players playing basketball. Yeah. It's actually like cringeworthy.
It's hard.
But in anime, there's so much detail put into technique. Where's the elbow, blah blah blah,
and then
like all that stuff. I'm just an absolute nothing.
Yeah,
for it.
because you can do shit like be like, wait, I can see his wings, and he like gets actual wings and flies. And it's like slow motion, like he's on a mountaintop. Or
LeBron
like,
can do that.
yeah, true.
you can really have fun with it.
Because
So.
you can literally control the action through literally drawing it frame by frame. Whereas
Yeah.
like trying to film that
Oh my God.
in live
Yeah.
action,
That's
it's
why-
really difficult to
And
capture.
I've done,
You have done a sport film.
TV shows about sport
Yes.
and music
Yes, you have.
and when you're an actor on a stage, you're supposed to be in front of Wembley or whatever, 80,000 people, and it's you and 4 other actors in front of fucking no one except 3 cameras kind of going like this, and you're
like,
pretend it's hard, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
you can't really play guitar. Like it's a lot of spinning away from the camera, you know what I mean? And like same with sport. It's like, yeah, guess what? If you're not an elite athlete, it's gonna be pretty hard to make it look the way you want it to look.
100%.
I just quickly, I know we've gone through quite a bit here, but just a few Western animations.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go quickly through these. Arcane, just watch it.
Classic.
Blue Eye Samurai, one of my favorite.
Yep, French, beautiful.
Cyberpunk, actually quite enjoyed it.
Is an anime.
Beautiful, is an anime. Beautiful music.
Also,
soundtrack.
a great gateway. Like
Totally.
the amount of people,
I think so,
and
too.
it came out of
Entrance
fucking nowhere.
is-
Like
Everyone
of-
hated the game. So at the start.
Well, at the start, then
Yeah.
they fixed it. Yeah, but like,
Did
it's,
they fix it? Did they?
No, they patched it. Now it's famously very, very good.
I think
But, like,
that
it just-
Cyberpunk Edgerunners had a lot to do with its surging popularity again, because that was successful again, and then people had renewed interest in the game because they had fixed it, and then
Stories,
people were
yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh,
the
well.
game's good now." Like,
Yeah,
And-
Edgerunners is crazy, amazing.
One more, Scavenger's Reign. I'm
Oh!
not sure if you guys
Yeah,
watched that.
Yeah.
Incredible. Really, really, really strong.
I haven't watched it either. No. So.
Worth it.
Okay.
Dark.
Yeah, right.
In a way that it's dark. It's dark. But really, really good. So yeah, those are sort of my do's and don'ts, or my suggests and not suggests.
I have one question for you.
Please.
Where was Skip and Loafer?
I had it in there. I took it out because I put it in the watch it, and I realized that I haven't finished it.
Well, we got to do that.
So,
the second
yeah.
season finally announced.
Yes.
I was thoroughly enjoying Skip and Loafer, and I really do like those, very gentle, slower animes. I find them quite relaxing.
Totally.
I thought A Sign of Affection was one of those ones where I really wasn't expecting it to be good. And it really, It really got me in how kind of wholesome and how, it's just nice to see characters that aren't absolute flogs, to be honest with you.
It does help.
But I've also brought in a quick little quiz.
Ooh, we're playing a game.
An anime quiz. Now, I know this is not your show. This is not what you, but I'm bringing it in because
All right.
There might be some giants going on here.
But this is sibling v sibling.
Oh, here we go.
1-on-1, mano a mano. You guys ready?
Yeah, I'm not looking.
Should we do buzzers? Let's do buzzers. Buzzer your name
Yep.
Yeah.
first.
All right.
Now, I'm going to butcher some Japanese names here, by the
Looking
way.
forward to it.
Yu Nishinoma plays which volleyball position in Haikyuu?
Unishinoma.
Charlie.
Yes, Charlie.
Is it the libero?
It is libero. Very well done.
Nishinoya.
Nishinoya. Yep. Okay. So
God damn it. I need...
my enunciation may be the issue, but 1 point to Charlie. 1 point to Charlie. Next up.
That's devastating.
Turbo Granny is imprisoned in what body that symbolizes luck?
Sam.
Yes.
It is a cat.
The Japanese name for it?
Neko.
Yes. It's a Meneki Neko.
Meneki Neko.
Which is one of those
Like
cats
a
that
cat
does
with
the
the
list.
yeah.
1-1. It's close.
Right.
It's close. Okay, whoever loses this has to watch Boruto. The other one doesn't.
Stakes high, people.
Up the stakes here.
Here we go. What flower does Frieren use to decorate Himmel's statue?
Charlie.
Yeah.
It's blue or purple.
Oh,
It's
what is it called?
I don't know. Purple flowers. Blue flower. They're blue, aren't they?
They are blue. They're blue something.
Blue orchids.
Can't
If you get
remember.
3 of the 4 words, I'll give it to you.
Blue are like.
What time of day does the...
Is it like dusk or evening blue or like nighttime blue?
This is good. Yeah. Okay.
Nighttime blue.
What comes out when it's night?
Moon. The moon. Night moon shadow or something? Like, what was it called? Honestly, cannot remember at all. I'm gone.
Moonshine. Star.
You were so close. It was blue moon weed flowers.
Oh, blue moon weed flowers.
Okay, no one gets that point.
Wow, it's embarrassing.
that's
We've
bad.
got to retire
Bad
this
on that
podcast immediately.
What is Kikaro's weapon of choice in Kaiju number 8?
Sam, it's
Yes,
the
Sam.
axe.
It is the Battle Axe,
Battle
AX0113.
That is cool. That axe is sick.
It's 2-1. In Apothecary Diaries, what did Furo do to pray for her love's safe return from war?
Charlie,
Yes.
is it dance on top of the wall?
It's Dance on the Palace Walls.
Yeah.
Very well done. It's 2-2. In Neon Genesis Evangelion, 3 supercomputers are named after the Magi. Name them.
I'm out. I have no fucking clue. My brain is shot.
This is more of a Christian
Yeah,
question.
it's Christian. What the fuck are their
Charlie.
names?
Michael.
That's worth a shot. Ba-bow.
Abraham.
It's not Methuselah.
He's working on it. 5, 4, 3, 2,
I've lost it.
1. It was
is it?
Balthazar,
Balthazar.
Casper, and Melchior. That was a tough one. It's 2-2.
I knew that.
We're looking for the tiebreaker here. Where did Thorfinn live at the start of Vinland Saga?
Sam,
Charlie.
Iceland.
Yeah, well, Sam got that one. 3-2.
I was going to say Denmark.
Okay. Who voiced Kiki in the English dub of Kiki's Delivery Service?
Charlie,
Yes, Charlie.
is this, what's her name? We love her. She's in Spider-Man. She is a famous actor, and her name is Kirsten Dunst.
That's correct. I love that you showed you working out there.
Yeah, did I show you
Stunning
working?
stuff. It is 3-3. Neck and neck. Neko and Neko. Which human-only character in Attack on Titan kills the most Titans?
Charlie,
Yes, Charlie.
Levi Ackerman.
4-3. And that
Fast.
was the final question.
You beat me on the buzzer.
So she has pitched you.
Damn it.
Bragging rights. There's a bonus Levi question, by the way. Which Watchmen character was he based on?
Oh, you're not trapped in here with me.
Rorschach?
Yeah, Rorschach.
Rorschach.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
correct.
Whoa,
That is
Levi
correct.
was based on Rorschach.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, inspired by.
Inspired.
Based.
Maybe
exactly.
not based.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
not based. But that was my
Oh, wow.
anime
balls.
quiz.
I love quizzes, but man,
Stressful.
I get
Stressful
stressed.
stuff.
They're stressful stuff.
we
Well
always
played.
talk about going to anime trivia, and I'm like, it'd be just so embarrassing because I know I'd probably lose.
we
but
just
I'd
couldn't,
be
we
like,
couldn't possibly. We have to go in
You
incognito.
guys got pretty much all of those except one.
Not bad, not bad, not bad. Well, yeah, and just quickly before we go, so just one thing I want to say to people as well, like when you are recommending these things, and I love great list, by the way. Well, very well researched.
such a good list.
Very good. And these are
Really,
all
really
newer
good.
stuff, which is really good because you want to do that. But like, just also for a couple of oldies, and one of them you've already mentioned, of course, but like, my partner, fiance, soon to be wife, actually. Oh, very soon, y'all.
congratulations.
That's a bit of a brag
Must be
here.
nice.
Exciting times, but so yes, but
right.
I have shown her 3 animes which have been huge roaring successes, and again, not an anime fan at all, but loved these 3, loved them, and I think these are like 3 of the ultimate gateways. It is of course Haikyuu.
Yep.
And she's not a sports fan either, but like absolutely lived for it, loved everything about it. Attack on Titan, obviously, probably the ultimate modern one, and of course the old school, everyone's favorite, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Took a little bit longer. That was the first one I showed her, but also took her the longest to get into.
Yeah.
It's a
I can
harder
see that.
style.
It's a
Yeah,
harder
yeah.
style, but then when she got in, obsessed.
Yeah, it's one of those shows. For sure.
But like, so yeah, those have been like sort of always been my kind of top 3, and like I have proof that that works. But like everything you suggested there, and again, the good thing about that, because you got to tailor things to people, right? Like, figure out what they like. That's why we often do like if you like Game of Thrones, you should watch Attack on Titan, like that sort of stuff. If you like Lord of the Rings, Frieren, etc., figure out what they like and then match to their tastes. And generally, you'll get people into anime that way. That's how I've found anyway.
That
So you got
is-
a nice diverse list there.
That is very true. It's also, there's a lot of very famous, very good animes that, I just don't like.
100%.
I just don't like them. And then,
Yeah.
I'm into Skip and Loafer. So, figure it out.
That's the thing.
That's valid. Very, very valid.
Very valid.
Alex, I got to say, so you view yourself as a casual watcher, yes? Would you say?
I'm probably a little
Yeah.
bit further than
I was gonna
casual.
say,
I think you're further than
I,
that.
I was going to say, you're kind of like that fuckboy who's like, nah, babe, we're casual.
Yeah.
But
Now that does
Don't
sound
put
like
labels
it,
on it,
so-
man.
and then you're like actually in like a full-on situationship
Yeah.
with
We've been living together
with
for 10
anime.
years. but-
Yeah.
whatever. We're just trying to figure out what we are.
yeah.
No, I do watch a fair bit of anime these days.
yeah.
No, pretty into it.
It's
Hell
good.
yeah.
It's fantastic. Well, Al, thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. And for any Australian people, of course, we'll be doing our second season of our football podcast we do together with the aforementioned Brandon. They Might Become Giants, a Greater Western Sydney podcast. And for anyone who's not in Australia, you got no idea what we're talking about. And that's okay. But anyway, thank you all so much. You can, of course, find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where hopefully you're watching this. You can also find us on Patreon if you really like what we're doing. You can join for as little as $1.50 a month. We do early releases, we do behind the scenes footage, and we also do special episodes just for the top 2 tiers of Patreon. We really appreciate our Patreons, and we really, really love our community over there, but we love our community here too. If you are listening, you can give us a 5-star review on one of Spotify or Apple or iTunes, whatever they call it these days. Apple? iTunes?
Yeah.
It's Apple. It's Apple.
I believe it's
it has been
famously
iTunes for a
Apple.
long time. You can go give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a huge difference. So thank you all so much. Al, thank you. And suggest anime to friends. And
Please.
let's spread the good word. Spread the gospel. To do a ReZero reference. Anyway, thank you all so much. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Happy New Year.
Thanks.